Hi, I'm Level Mike, and this is my opinion. Okay, so Sony. I did not think it was possible to top last year, and while I don't think that they had the same kind of amazing announcements, the press conference itself was so much better in terms of its structure. It didn't waste time with, like, every single press conference today has wasted time talking about how many friggin' players they have, having people over talk about their games, having people just go on and on and on talking on stage instead of showing gameplay. And Sony didn't do any of that. Like, they were barely on stage ever, and maybe they were on stage for a minute or at a time, and in between them was game, announcement, special thing here, special thing there. Oh my god, demo here. Oh my god, demo there. And it was fantastic. This should be the gold standard for every single conference going forward. This is how you do it. Pay attention to this. There's a reason Sony will get so much freaking credit for this press conference for everyone who watches it, because it doesn't waste their time. In, like, I look at Ubisoft, who I said it went on, I think I mentioned in the comment of it, it went on too long, and I didn't really talk about that. I just talked about how stuff was just very boring a lot of the time, but a lot of that was because they didn't have the good stuff. If that conference had been less than half of what it was and just had some of the bigger things, it would have been great. But they waste so much time talking about the stuff that no one cares about. And Sony didn't do that. And that's why they win E3. That is why this press conference is a 10 out of 10. That is why it's as good as last year, even though the announcements last year were better. Because it was just structurally better, and they still had a lot of shit to show. And not everything like Microsoft. God, Microsoft's got to get a handle on that. Okay, so the conference. All right, so they start off classy as hell, smug in a way, but a good kind of smug. Orchestra. The entire press conference orchestrated music for every single trailer that was shown. Amazingly well done. They start off with just this really interesting theme. It sounds like God of War, but there's not. It's only music now. They're not telling you what it is. And then the trailer starts, and then you're just like, okay, what is this? This is a little kid. Okay, is this he's in kind of a scavenging clothes? Is this Horizon Zero Dawn? Is this Last Guardian? Is this something different? And then bam, out of the shadows walks Kratos, and that demo was fantastic. I don't like God of War. I think the God of War series is vastly overrated. I think Kratos has been a terrible character, and he is not interesting, and they have completely sold me on this game just in this one freaking demo. It felt like they paid attention to what the fan response was of Last of Us, and how there was characters with empathy, emotion, caring, and just it was completely different than what God of War is. And that's why it was so good, is because it still had the hack and slash combat and some of the brutal violence, but it didn't do it in a cartoony, over the top kind of way. And it took itself seriously for once. And that's the thing I think all the other God of War games don't really do, is like they do the heavy angst thing, but they all feel almost like a cartoon. They don't feel realistic. They don't feel grounded. They feel like they're just going over the top because they can. This felt very interesting. There's the Kratos and this kid that he's befriended, and the kid wants to work together with him. There's a whole story in this trailer. It was emotional. It was impactful, and the gameplay was great. The camera's perspective being like an over-the-shoulder action game now was a fantastic change, and it was so interesting and well done, and it's clearly based off of Norse mythology. And man, I could talk about that trailer for 10 minutes. That is amazing trailer. There were so many good trailers here. I can't go and talk about this one too much more, but I hate God of War. I think it is a massively overrated series. If this is the direction God of War is taking, I'm in. I am absolutely in. This is what it feels like to see a series evolve. It's not just more of the same. This is what I've been wanting from so many of these series. Like, when I talk in my other videos about how nothing feel like Gears of War, for example, like, it didn't feel new enough. It didn't feel like anything had changed. It just felt like more of the same. This God of War doesn't feel like more of the same. It feels like something completely different, and just something completely not completely. Something that is just absolutely different, absolutely interesting, and it just grabs you. And if the whole game is as good as that segment was, that could easily win Game of the Year and maybe as good as A Last of Us. If they can keep Kratos grounded, not have his ragey, like, I'm going to kill everyone because, I killed my wife and child because the gods did stuff. Yeah. Everyone knows that story. Next up, we had Days Gone. I was getting a lot of Last of Us vibes, and they later would show actual gameplay of it, but the trailer they showed looked really interesting. Definitely a Last of Us style motif in terms of its exploration and mechanics, stuff like that. And then they showed Last Guardian, and that looked awesome as always. And it just goes to show how good this press conference was. When I watched Last Guardian, and it's hard to actually talk up Last Guardian because there's so many other amazing things at this press conference. They also announced release date October 25th, so confirmed this year. Makes me really happy. Sony does have a big first-party game coming out this year. Then they went on to Horizon Zero Dawn, continued to look good, February next year. Not as good of a gameplay demo, I think. Maybe went on a little bit long, but I loved every minute of it. A game I didn't care for that much when they originally showed it, Detroit, which is the David Cage game. What sold me on that is the way choice works. How they took one incident in this game and they showed you how every single choice can happen, or at least most of them, and the different outcomes with that one event, and clearly saying that the whole game will be based around this. Great idea, love it. That is exactly what I want to see in a game like this. So yeah, sold, want it now. And then they started talking about VR. And they showed this thing. They're just saying full game available in VR, and got instant PT vibes. It looked at, very dark, dreary, first person, slow walking, and I'll just skip right to the end of it. Resident Evil fucking 7, out of nowhere. Like, it was rumored it's been rumored for years that they're working on Resident Evil 7. Nothing ever came from it. Not only is it Resident Evil 7, which is clearly inspired by PT, it also is coming out January next year, that soon. It is a full VR game. Holy shit, that's how you sell VR. And demoed right now, like on PlayStation Network right now. That is a megaton. Like, that is how you sell your game. And I'm hitting stuff, and I'm sorry that's making extra noise, but so good. So Farpoint was next. Space exploration, planet exploration kind of game. I was too, in shock over Resident Evil, not to pay too much attention. Then they talked about another VR game, Star Wars Battlefront, the missions. Sounds like it's just a demo for what you can do with Star Wars in VR. If that's packaged with VR, I'm in. I hope that they don't try to sell it as an additional game. Batman also getting some kind of Arkham VR game. Don't know what it is, just said that they're gonna have that, and they had this trailer with Joker talking over it. And then Final Fantasy 15 also has a VR game where you're playing as Prompto. And okay, sure, why not? It doesn't, it's probably not going to be a full game. It's probably also going to be something like a demo, but that at least is a taste of something that they could do and something different. Then they went on Call of Duty. Surprisingly, Call of Duty did look like shit. I was honestly expecting it to be a rather boring gameplay demonstration. They had this grappling hook mechanic. You were fighting in zero G. You were flying in the spaceship. You land the spaceship. You go in, you blow something, then you get back in your spaceship again. Very, very interesting. They showed anti-gravity grenades, really something different, for Call of Duty. It did not even, that was, and the smartest thing about this too, they didn't say it was Call of Duty as it was playing. It was pretty obvious after a while it was, but at the very beginning you still had to second guess yourself and really wonder what this actually was. From there they went on to probably the only minorly low point. They brought out Sean Layden, and they did this little cute thing with his shadow where it was Crash Bandicoot in a shadow. And they said that Crash remasters are happening for the first 3 Crash games, and they partner with Activision. Then they of course showed what leaked earlier this week, where Crash is going to have him in the new Skylanders game, because why not? They didn't show any gameplay, they didn't show a screen, they didn't show nothing. So clearly that is a deal they have financed but not probably started working on, or at least don't have anything to show as of yet. which I'm okay with because, like I've said earlier this week, if you don't have anything to show, don't show anything. Don't waste our time with saying, "Oh wow, Crash Bandicoot is the most amazing thing ever." We love Crash Bandicoot. We love this series. We don't have anything to show you, but we're going to keep talking about it for 10 minutes. That kind of thing. They said it. They said it's coming. They said they know. Moving on. We'll probably see it either later this year or next year. Lego Star Wars 7 trailer comes out in 2 weeks, but they did do something as like Resident Evil did. Demo's out now. Gotta love that stuff. I love it when companies show something and it's immediately like, go try it. Go try it. Go, you at home, go try it now. And the next thing, I'm surprised they didn't end the show with this. That's what I would have done. I don't think they needed to have done anything else. They should have ended on this. Freaking Hideo Kojima comes out with a freaking stairway that has like the stairs lighting up as he's walking down to look like it's actually being made as he walks. Huge round of applause. Everyone, like, he's being treated like a god now, which I love. Like, he makes great games, and he should be respected and honored and treated like a gaming superstar. But the way friggin' Konami treated him and what he had to deal with is shit. And everyone knows it. And so every time anyone sees the guy, they give him just the biggest applause ever. And I love it because he deserves it after what he went through and seeing what Konami did and screwed everything over. But it wasn't just that Kojima showed up. No, it's just not even that. It's, oh, hey, here's my next game. Norman Reedus is back. Here's this teaser trailer for what this next game is going to be. I'm Unchained. I can do whatever the hell I want now. And it is glorious. That game's probably 4 years away, and I don't care. I can still get hyped on it because they actually showed something on it, and they actually clearly have an idea of something, and it was weird, it was interesting, and it was out of nowhere, and no one saw that coming. No one. They went on right after that to Spider-Man. Like, I was still kind of recovering for Kojima being on there, and then Spider-Man shows up, and I'm like, okay, Spider-Man, but Insomniac Games is making Spider-Man. Holy shit, a good developer is actually working on a Marvel IP? Yes, thank you, this is what we need. If this does well, please make more games inside the Marvel universe, because there are so many good Marvel movies, and we need good games for these movies, and Insomniac is a great team to do it, and the idea that they don't have to, be chained by all these friggin', trying to release it around the same time of the movie or whatever it is, it's just really, really smart and great work. And it is an exclusive, I guess, because Sony got the rights to the movie. I mean, I guess that makes sense. And something that can compete with Batman as well for DC. So if they're going to continue making Batman games. They ended the conference with Days Gone. Showed gameplay. I swear, the whole time I was watching this gameplay, I kept expecting the logo come up at the end and then say Last of Us something under it. Like a Last of Us story or something like that. Because that's what it looked like. It looked like just like a different kind of Last of Us experience. And I'm okay with that. Like, it doesn't have... It's not the same thing. Like, the way that they showed the zombies or whatever they are was very different. And unlike Dead Rising, which just has... okay, hey, we got a million stacked zombies on the screen. Whoop-de-doo for us. These zombies were chasing the guy, and you could just see him. Like, he blew up a bridge, and like they fell down, and then like they crawled back up, like on top of each other to get back up to him. If the whole game's like that, that's awesome. Like, that was showing off like what next gen technology is. And man, they nailed that. Like, that looked awesome. I still think they should have ended with Kojima just because Kojima, but damn, that was really freaking good. So yes, 10 out of 10. Easy. Best conference that Sony has probably ever done in terms of it actually being a press conference. They set the standard for what every conference should be going forward. I doubt anyone's actually going to do that. Most people aren't going to pay attention to it, but at the very least, that's it. That is what they should be doing. And, oh man, I can't wait to see what comes next. Like, how do you... Like, they didn't even need to... They clearly didn't try to top last year by the announcements being super amazing or anything like that. They just gave people what they wanted. We wanted games. They paid attention to what the press says. We hate sitting through, oh, hey, yeah, we've sold blah, blah, blah million PS4s. We have this million PSN accounts. All that shit no one fucking cares about unless you have stock in Sony, which no one generally watching that shit does. So they showed gamers what they wanted to see, the games, and they made it worth it. And I am so happy to see that. And I hope that some other companies learn from this and improve their press conferences next year, because Sony was just amazingly well done. And I did see some people saying it was short, and it was short because there was no bullshit. They didn't pad it out. If they padded it out, they easily could have made it 2 hours if they wanted to. But it was like an hour and 15 minutes ish. So I think they did it right. They cut out the bullshit. They showed you what you wanted to see, and they just made announcement after announcement, showed game after game, trailer after trailer, and it was great. There is very little flaws you can find in it, and that's why I think it's a 10 out of 10, because I don't think that it will be topped for a while in terms of how a press conference runs, and I'm sure this will be the gold standard for Sony going forward, which makes me very excited. Now, if I'm going to end my little rant in discussion here, and I'm going to go see if I can download that Resident Evil demo. I'm Novel Mike. That was my opinion. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.